Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Today, we're going deep into the world of UFOs.
Ooh.
And not just the usual blurry photos or, the crazy conspiracy theories.
Right.
We're going to be talking about government suppression
Yes.
and looking at the very real experiences of people who've come face to face with the unexplained.
I think this is one of the most fascinating aspects of this whole phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's not just about lights in the sky. It's about the human stories.
Right.
The people who have had these encounters and how their lives have been impacted.
Exactly. And, a lot of times these people are ridiculed or dismissed.
Oh, absolutely.
But their stories deserve to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to try to do today.
Yeah, I think it's really important to approach these stories with an open mind.
Right.
And with respect. These are people who have often experienced something truly extraordinary.
Absolutely. And today we're going to be looking at a case that really exemplifies the challenges and the pressures that people face when they come forward with these kinds of stories.
Definitely. It's a case that shows how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Exactly. It's the story of Lieutenant Paul Staley, an Air Force pilot who had a UFO encounter that sent shockwaves through the military and his personal life.
It's a story that really gets to the heart of how governments have dealt with UFOs throughout history.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's May 19th, 1967.
Okay.
Staley, a recent graduate of the Air Force's intense survival school course, is driving through the Nevada desert,
Okay.
eager to get home to his wife, Cynthia, in Los Angeles.
So he's fresh out of this training where he's learned how to survive in extreme conditions.
Yeah, he's like a master of observation and survival skills.
Right.
Which become incredibly important as his journey takes a very strange turn.
It's like the universe was testing him,
Right. It's like, okay, you just learned all these skills, now let's see what you can do.
Exactly. And that's what makes this case so compelling. He wasn't someone easily fooled by his surroundings.
Wow.
He was trained to assess situations critically and to remain calm under pressure.
Right.
So when he reports what he saw, we have to take it seriously.
Absolutely. So Staley's driving along, and suddenly his engine guys, not just sputters, but completely cuts out.
Oh, wow.
The radio goes dead, the lights flicker out, his whole electrical system goes haywire.
Sounds like something out of a movie.
Right. It's a total nightmare scenario.
Yeah, but especially in the middle of the Nevada desert.
I mean, if I were in his shoes, I'd be freaking out.
Right.
But Staley, with his survival training, he keeps his cool.
Okay.
He's trying to figure out what's going on, and then he sees them, 4 distinctly octagonal UFOs hovering near his car.
So wait, his car dies in the desert, and then he sees 4 octagonal UFOs.
That's right.
Okay, I gotta admit, that's pretty creepy.
It's like something straight out of a sci-fi novel.
Yeah.
But Staley was adamant that what he saw was real.
And with his training, he would have been able to distinguish between reality and hallucination.
Exactly. He was trained to be a keen observer, to notice details, and to report accurately.
Right, so it's not like he was just seeing things.
No. He was very clear about what he experienced.
Yeah.
So, following protocol, Staley reports the incident to his base, thinking they'd launch a full-scale investigation.
I mean, you'd think so, right? A pilot reports UFOs, that's a big deal.
Yeah, but instead of taking him seriously, they met him with a lot of skepticism.
Oh, so they basically brush him off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is a pattern we see time and time again.
Really?
Yeah, people report UFO sightings, especially military personnel, and they're often met with disbelief and ridicule.
It's like there's this institutional resistance to acknowledging the possibility of UFOs.
Exactly. And in Staley's case, the situation gets even more complicated because his father-in-law, Dr. O'Neill,
Okay.
who was a colonel in the Air Force Reserve, gets involved.
So wait, his father-in-law is a high-ranking military officer?
Yeah, and you'd think that would lend credibility to Staley's story.
Right, you'd think he'd have some pull.
But as we'll see, Dr. O'Neill's involvement takes a very unexpected turn.
Okay, this is getting interesting. I'm already hooked.
Yeah, and we're just getting started.
I can't wait to hear what happens next.
We'll definitely get to that, but first let's take a quick break.
Sounds good. Staley's experience, it really makes you wonder how many other people out there have had similar encounters but have been too afraid to come forward.
I think it's probably more common than we realize.
I agree. There's this long history of people in the military, especially pilots, radar operators, encountering UFOs and then being told to keep quiet about it.
It's like there's this code of silence surrounding this whole topic.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting national security or, preventing panic.
Right.
It's about something deeper. It's about maintaining control over the narrative.
I think you're right. There's definitely a sense that someone or something is trying to keep this information under wraps.
And it makes you wonder why. What are they so afraid of?
Exactly. What are they hiding?
The truth is out there somewhere, but it's buried under layers of secrecy and misinformation.
Okay, so we've talked about the suppression of information, but let's talk about the evidence.
Yeah.
In recent years, there have been a lot of declassified documents and government acknowledgments related to UFOs.
It's true. There's been a real shift towards transparency, and it's pretty remarkable.
What kind of information are we talking about?
Well, we're seeing reports from military pilots, radar operators, even astronauts.
Wow.
Describing encounters with objects that defy conventional explanation.
So it's not just grainy photos and shaky videos anymore.
No, not at all. We're talking about official reports from highly trained professionals, people who are used to observing and analyzing data.
So these aren't just, random people seeing things in the sky.
Exactly. These are credible witnesses with years of experience.
What are they saying?
They're describing objects performing maneuvers that are simply impossible for any known aircraft.
Okay, so give me an example.
Well, there are reports of objects making right-angle turns at hypersonic speeds.
That's insane. No human pilot could withstand those kinds of forces.
Exactly. And there are accounts of objects accelerating from a standstill to thousands of miles per hour in an instant.
I mean, that sounds like something out of science fiction.
It does, but the data is there, the radar tracks the eyewitness testimonies, it's all very compelling.
So what's the explanation?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately we don't have a definitive answer yet.
But you're saying that these objects are real?
I think the evidence suggests that they are, and the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know.
It's both exciting and a little bit scary, isn't it?
Definitely. It's a reminder that we're not at the top of the food chain when it comes to technology or intelligence.
And that there are things out there that we don't understand and maybe can't even comprehend.
Exactly. It's a humbling thought, and it should inspire us to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of our knowledge.
So what do you think the future holds for UFO disclosure?
Well, I think we're at a tipping point. I think the pressure from the public, the growing body of evidence, it's all making it harder and harder for governments to keep this information secret.
So you're saying we might be on the verge of a major breakthrough?
I think it's possible, and if that happens, it will change everything.
It would completely transform our understanding of the universe and our place in it.
Absolutely. It would be a paradigm shift of epic proportions.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about the scientific implications of UFOs. If these objects are indeed extraterrestrial in origin, what does that tell us about the possibilities of advanced technology?
Well, the technologies we're seeing displayed by these objects are far beyond anything we're capable of creating.
Right.
I mean, think about it. The ability to travel interstellar distances, the ability to manipulate gravity, the ability to defy our understanding of physics.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It is, and it suggests that there are levels of science and engineering that we haven't even dreamed of yet.
It's almost like we're looking through a keyhole at a whole other reality.
Yeah, a reality where the impossible is possible, and the laws of physics are just guidelines.
Okay, I have to ask this. We've been talking about the government secrecy evidence and the potential for advanced technology. But what about the aliens themselves?
Ah, yes. The big question. What do we know, or what can we speculate about the beings who might be piloting these UFOs?
Right, because it's not just about the technology, it's about who's behind it.
Exactly, and that's where things get really interesting and a little bit scary.
I'm all ears. What have you uncovered?
Well, based on eyewitness accounts and some declassified documents, it seems like there's a wide range of beings associated with these UFOs.
So we're not just talking about little green men.
Not necessarily. Some reports describe humanoid figures, but others describe entities that are more abstract or even bizarre.
Like what?
Well, there are accounts of beings that seem to be made of pure light or energy.
That's wild.
And there are stories of beings that can change shape or appear and disappear at will.
So we're talking about beings with abilities that are beyond our comprehension.
Exactly. It's like they're operating on a different level of reality, a reality where the rules are different and the possibilities are endless.
Okay. I'm officially creeped out, but also kind of fascinated.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag of emotions. But it's important to remember that we're dealing with the unknown here, and the unknown can be both terrifying and exhilarating.
Right. It's a reminder that the universe is a vast and mysterious place, and we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what's out there. Wow. I feel like we've just gone through a crash course in ufology.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We've talked about government suppression, the latest evidence, and even speculated about what alien life might be like.
It's been a pretty mind-blowing conversation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Hmm.
I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, shoot.
We've talked a lot about critical thinking,
Yeah.
not just believing everything we hear.
Right.
But how do we balance that skepticism with a sense of wonder and openness to the unknown?
That's a great question, and it's something I struggle with myself, On one hand, we need to be discerning. We need to question our sources and look for evidence.
All right.
But on the other hand, we need to be open to the possibility that there are things out there that we don't understand, things that might challenge our current worldview.
So it's not about being gullible, but it's also not about being closed-minded.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between critical thinking and a sense of awe and wonder.
And I think that's what makes this topic so fascinating. It forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge and to consider the possibility that there's more to reality than we currently perceive.
And that's a pretty humbling thought, isn't it?
It is. It's a reminder that we're not the center of the universe.
Right.
That we're part of something much bigger and more mysterious than we can even imagine.
And that's exciting. It's like we're on the verge of a new era of discovery, an era where we might finally unlock some of the biggest mysteries of the universe.
I like that. An era of discovery.
Yeah.
So what can our listeners do to cultivate that sense of open-mindedness and curiosity?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious, to never stop asking questions.
Right.
Read books, watch documentaries, talk to people who have different perspectives than you.
And don't be afraid to challenge your own beliefs.
Exactly. Be willing to change your mind when presented with new evidence.
Because at the end of the day, the truth is out there.
It is, and it's waiting for us to discover it.
Well said.
Yeah.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of UFOs. It's been an incredible journey, and we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.